So, we were talking about Gary Barnidge. Next thing I was going to say is how he is a target monster inside the red zone. Barnidge has racked up about 6 touchdowns in his last 4 games, maybe 5 touchdowns in his last 4 games. Um, Last week, tough matchup, came through. Start him this week. Doug Martin. This comes as a high risk, high reward. He is playing somebody with a tough matchup this week. Let's double check that matchup. And that matchup would be Washington. Washington has not looked good this year, but their defense has looked pretty decent. Martin is coming fresh off a bye, which is a plus. He has over 100 rushing yards in his last 2 games, and 3 touchdowns, I believe, rushing. So, high risk, high reward. Doug Martin, start him this week. On to my sit-ems. Derek Carr, number one sit-em for QB. He is facing San Diego's defense, who is the sixth fewest, giving up the sixth fewest points to opposing quarterbacks. It's a tough matchup. It's in San Diego, and the Raiders have not looked all that great this year, even after their offense was supposed to be somewhat good. Carr is still second-year guy, so he's getting used to the offense and the NFL. I wouldn't start Carr this week. If you have another option, I would look elsewhere. Um, Josh McCown. I know I said start Barnidge, but that's because his work in the red zone. But McCown is probably not going to be a very good start this week. He's been on a roll as of late, but he's playing St. Louis. St. Louis has a very tough defense. They're tough against the pass, and McCown hasn't looked all that great against good defenses. Jordan Matthews versus the Panthers. It's terrible because I actually have Matthews in my lineup for one of my teams, but he's not a good start this week. He's been terrible the last 3 weeks. His targets are there, but his yardage is not. He hasn't scored in like 4 weeks, maybe 5. You could blame the quarterback, Bradford, because he hasn't looked all that great either. But the Eagles have decided to like pass the ball, like spread the ball out more, and it hasn't helped Matthews at all. He's still the clear number one receiver there, but yeah, they've been going to Murray a lot as of late, so don't play Jordan Matthews. Amari Cooper versus the Chargers. Chargers are very good against the pass, like I said, and I wouldn't go with any Raiders this week. Cooper is still a rookie too, so he could tend to flop under pressure. He's been somewhat okay this year. He hasn't been like Odell Beckham like, and Chargers have a good defense, so I would not start Amari Cooper. Julian Edelman. The Jets are very good. That's all I'm gonna say. The Jets are good this year. I have Edelman on my bench. I would have Edelman on the bench, Dion Lewis on the bench, and believe it or not, I would also bench Gronkowski. The Jets have been exceptionally well all around the charts on opposing tight ends, running backs, wide receivers. Dion Lewis hasn't looked good last week. This week is not a good matchup. Edelman has looked good, but I would bench him because they're playing the Jets. The Jets always play good against the Patriots too. I don't see this being a very high-scoring game. I see this being a very low-scoring game. The Jets want to establish the run first with Ivory, who has looked phenomenal this year. So I see that being a low-scoring game. Bench Lewis, bench Edelman, bench Gronkowski. My next running back bench is Forsett. Forsett has been on a hot streak as of late, but playing Arizona this week is probably going to end it. Forte and Bell both were held for 60 yards or less on the ground against Arizona, so it does not offer a very good matchup. Forsett has been on a hot streak, like I said, but Arizona is probably going to end it this week, so do not start Forsett. If you have another option, play the other guy. If not, go with Forsett, but don't expect too much from him. My final bench is Jordan Cameron. He has not looked good this year. Unfortunately, everybody thought he was going to be better, but even though his concussions aren't there and his health is there, he's not been playing good this year. So I'm going to have to say bench Jordan Cameron until he shows you something else different. Bench him. That is it. I know this was a very long video, probably 10 minutes or more. Those are my sits, starts, and sleeper alerts, and I will be back next week for more sit, starts, and sleepers. Thank you. This is Chuck coming live from the Park District. Toodaloo.